Welcome everyone. This is week 1 of our fall KAL-arama, and it is officially cast on day. So if you're ready to cast on, your needles are poised. Let me just walk you through a few steps before we actually get the stitches on the needle. So the project of choice is the mishmash wrap. And this is an all-occasion wrap shawl. It almost looks like a poncho the way we have it styled today. And this is something that I was inspired to design after many years ago knitting a scarf. I think the designer's name is Amy Miller. And I liked the way that she combined the stripes and the eyelet in a scarf. And I thought, well, that would be also nice as a wrap. And changing up the design elements, of course, and the width and the length. So the mishmash wrap, I'll put the link down below. It is on Ravelry, and we have the patterns in the store. It requires 4 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and you can mix and match your fingering weight bases, as long as they have a comparable fiber content. So most of these that we have here, Richard DeVries, Theed, Muskoka Yarn Goddess Fino, Allegria is in here. They are mainly a superwash merino with a small bit of nylon. So what you want are 4 different skeins, approximately 400 yards each. You're not going to use all 400 yards, but it's good to have equal yardage per skein. And then the 5th color is going to be a fun little 10-yard mini skein or remnant that you might have at home. So for instance, this mini skein is 10 grams and it has 46 yards, so you only need a quarter of that. So it really doesn't take much for the fun color that you throw in. Needle size that we're requiring is a 4mm US 6. That can be straight or circular, whichever suits your knitting style the best. And tension is not that important when you're doing a wrap because it's not something that has to fit the body. It's not fitted. It's just something that wraps over. So this one is knit as a rectangle, and there are 3 sizes in the pattern: small, medium. So this will be finished at 50 inches, and large to extra large will be finished at 55. So that's the length of the wrap. And the extra large will be finished at 60 inches. They all take the same amount of yarn, and the actual length this way, which is the width of what you're knitting in the rectangle, is 21.5 inches. So it's a good size wrap, and you can choose to finish it off with little buttons, as I've done here, so that it's just an easy throw over style. You don't have to fuss with it. Or you may like to have the option of snuggling it up closer to your neck and putting a shawl pin on or a brooch to close it. So we'll talk more about the finishing as we get into it. And as you know, it's a 4-week knit along. We've done these before. We have our ballot box for everyone who has signed up. They have a ballot already in the box, and that will go towards the grand prize in week 4. And then each week at the end of the video, we do an incentive trivia question, and one person will be randomly chosen, and their name will also go on a ballot towards the draw. So that's all the basics. We have posted in the event page all the color combos that are suggested, and it's fun if you can mix and match some of your stash skeins. If you have a special skein at home that you really don't know what to do with, then you can sort of pull colors from that. Semi-solid, solid works, speckled works, variegated works. That would be more what we call variegated here. And the one I have knit up is using a semi-solid here, here, and I think I used a Richard DeBreeze one, and then a solid in Allegria in the silver. So in our in-store knit-along group, we've had fun choosing the color palettes and casting on today. So I will just start talking you through the first week of tips and tricks. So the suggested cast on for this project, and most of the projects that we featured in knit-alongs, is the long tail cast on, because it gives more elasticity, and it's a finished edge which doesn't look holey or uneven. So long tail cast on is your best choice, and you are starting with the scallop border first, so you do need a fair bit of stretch. Remember too, when you do the long tail cast on, the first row is your wrong side. So that's why the pattern is starting with a purl row, not a knit row, because the long tail takes you to the opposite end, so when you turn, you have your wrong side facing. And there is a choice of how you want to do your slip stitch edge. So in the pattern, if you have read it over, you'll see that there are so many stitches in garter stitch at each edge, which keeps the wrap from curling once it's blocked. So that's important as you go through the different design elements to keep the structure of the finished wrap. So I'm going to show you a sample, and this will give you two options. I'll bring it up closer to the camera. So option number one is shown here on the right side. So this is the way it's outlined in the pattern, and if you choose to continue with the way it's knit in the pattern, all you have to remember is that when you slip the first stitch, you will have your yarn in the back of the work, and that is included in the pattern. So what you're going to get is almost like a rounded edge, and it looks the same on both sides. So if you're happy with that, there's nothing to change in the pattern. Always remember that your slip stitch is done purlways in any pattern unless it's otherwise stated. Purlways is the natural direction of the stitch, the way it sits on the needle, and you're not changing it or twisting it. Now, if you would like a sharper edge, something that has almost like a chain link, then all you have to do is change the direction of the yarn as you slip the stitch. So in that case, at the beginning of every row, you're going to slip the first stitch purlways, but keep the yarn in the front. And that's going to give you a nice stretchy edge, but also a cleaner edge. So option one is worked with the yarn in the back, and option two is worked with the yarn in the front. It's entirely up to you, whichever look you like. I'll bring the shawl closer so you can see. I went with option one. I just like that natural raw edge, and it gives it plenty of stability. It doesn't stretch out when it's blocked. So there is your cast on edge. That's the long tail cast on, and the slip stitch is started after the scallop edge is finished. So there it is, nice and neat. And you'll also notice that in the pattern there's a nice trick for finishing your baubles to make them appear neater. And that is well explained. I don't think I need to demonstrate that for you. But if you have any questions, feel free to comment or send a message or an email. And then the other thing to remember too is when you're working through the first stripe sequence with color A and color B, you're not going to be cutting color A or B until you finish the stripe sequence. They're only 2-row stripes, so it's easy to carry it up the side. Just be extra careful that when you carry the old color up to reuse it, that you're not twisting it at the front of the work, because that is going to show along the edge. You want it to be underneath the edge when you carry it up. So week 1, we're just going to concentrate on getting through the cast on edge, the baubles, the stripe sequence, and then choose your next color for your palette. So some people are planning their colors out ahead of time, and others are just freewheeling and just choosing color A and B and then deciding which color suits their fancy for C. And then, as you can see on the back, color D in the texture, and then here we've got the fun pop of color, and then we'll go back and repeat 2 of the colors here and finish with a completely different border. So this is something to relax through the month of November while the days get darker and shorter, and it's not meant to be complicated or stressful. It's just to play with color, play with stitch patterns, and create something that's unique to your style, or maybe you're planning to gift it for somebody at Christmas. So let's get to our trivia question for week 1. Feel free to post your answer in the comment, and we will pick a winner probably Sunday morning, because I know most of you don't watch the video until the evening or the weekend. So that gives everyone a chance to participate. Name a TV character or actor known for his or her sweaters. So somebody that is well known from the past, TV shows, TV series, that had quite an amazing wardrobe of sweaters. So that will give you something to ponder while you're casting on and working through the first section of the pattern. It might be helpful to put markers for every 12 stitches until you get this little scallop edge worked in. It's a 12 stitch repeat on the first row of decreasing. So that will help to keep everything straight and lined up. And then after that, baubles, and after that, clear sailing. So I hope everybody is enjoying the pattern so far. And again, if you have any questions, just post a comment and I'll be sure to answer them. And I will catch you this Wednesday. We've got our regular virtual yarn shopping video, lots of new yarns and products to show you. And then I'll be here next Friday at 5 p.m. with week 2 of our KAL-arama. Have a great weekend, everyone. Stay warm.